Let me tell you a story. I've lived in villages and off the grid for 45 years. My wife Helen and I raised 5 kids in a log cabin in the days of dog teams and sweet sauce. I know what it's like to try to make a living firefighting in a rainy year. I know what it's like to be a local carpenter when the construction company imports carpenters from town. I know how hard it is to combine subsistence with cash economy. I know the anger and frustration when Fish and Game violates our subsistence and rural lifestyle. In 2012, I carried Senator Olson's native language bill on the House side. It passed 38-0. I fought the Department of Education trying to get locally, culturally relevant curriculum in the schools. My staff and I spent scores of hours working with Health and Social Services and the Alaska State Troopers on suicide awareness and prevention. In the first year alone, calls to the suicide hotline increased by 70%. I worked with Congressman Don Young to get the wood bison released in the Innoko drainage. I got an amendment passed to open up peat as a private and commercial energy source. 30% of the electricity and home heating in Finland comes from peat. There's lots of peat in western Alaska. I funded the District 6 iPad pilot project. I put iPads in every one of my schools. Students made fantastic improvements. I worked with the Atna people and helped get $8 million for their Indian Health Service health facility in Copper Center. My office helped get $3 million for the Emo port. I got $1.5 million for a pilot project to do culturally relevant theme-based education. I got $6.5 million in the bond package for a bridge to Nenana West. This could open up oil and gas drilling, ag land, and biomass. We passed a bill to rename bush airports by honoring local heroes. My staff and I fought and continue to fight to keep rural post offices open and keep bypass mail an Alaskan reality. I can do the same for you. Native leaders are endorsing me because I know I'm the only candidate who can effectively represent the bush. We have a treaty with the pollock industry. We have a treaty with Canada. And yet we can't get our nets wet because we might touch one king salmon. We need a treaty with our own people that involves us getting some fish. Right now, I'm working with the governor's office and YKHC to get an emergency license to deal with the health crisis in veterinary care in the YK Delta. The long-term solution is to change the law that keeps volunteer efforts out of our villages. Now, listen to the recording of the Fairbanks guy as he testified before the Fairbanks Borough about redistricting.
The map adopted by the board, a considerable part of our borough will be matched with towns like Hooper Bay, 500 miles to the west, and what's referred to as Wade Hampton. Has the name Wade Hampton ever been used in this body? Probably not. Grayling, Anvik, Sugarlook, Holy Cross. Imagine I'm not the one representing you. Imagine it's someone from Newman Equa. This borough will lose quite a bit of voting strength.
He's a retired union organizer with little understanding of the bush. Let me tell you something that I didn't know until I came to Juneau. If your representative is in the majority caucus, you have influence. If your rep is in the minority, like the Fairbanks guy, you get to watch. I should add that there is a third candidate, a woman from Manly. If she ever happened to win, she'd also be in the minority. I am the chairman of the House Education Committee. And look at all the other committees I'm on. Finance committees? How did I get there? I'm in the majority. Helen and I have our own airplane. We have flown over 9,000 miles in the last few months, connecting with villages in District 38. I'm not a perfect person. I make mistakes. I try to learn from my mistakes. I don't know everything there is to know about the legislature either, but I'm a fast learner. My wife's grandmother, when she first met me, told my wife's grandpa in her language, "He's a little cranky, but she'll never starve." Well, that's pretty accurate. I'm a worker.
What about the cranky part?
I can't fix all the problems right away, but I took over District 6 that had been neglected for years and made tremendous progress. I have good staff, and we can do the same thing for District 38. And that is the story.